My name is Michelle Ho. I'm currently studying at Vanderbilt University, and I did this at ILab Research Institute. So I'll give you a brief rundown on what hyperuricemia is. It's just having elevated uric acid levels, usually greater than 7 milligrams per DL. It affects a good amount of the population, up to 24%, and it can be linked to gout, kidney stones, cardiovascular diseases, and metabolic disorders. Oftentimes, it is asymptomatic, and so we have some emerging evidence that has some debate on whether we should treat asymptomatic cases or not. So that's what my study was aiming to find. And yeah, it significantly affects helper T cells and monocytes, and it influences cytokine production and macrophage polarization. I got my MSU compound from in vivogen, and I got my LRS chambers from the Stanford Blood Center. I had 3 samples, and they were taken from 3 random patients. My design composited of having the 3 LRS chambers, and where I conducted LRS cell isolation. I stimulated those with MSU for 24 hours. I collected the supernatants and also the cell pellets. However, 1 sample was contaminated when collecting the cell pellets, so I only had 2 cell pellet samples. I also measured the cytokine and chemokine levels using ELISA for the 3 supernatants that were not contaminated. I performed some total RNA isolation for the 2, and then I also performed RNA sequencing that was done by Novogene. So yeah, I just had my research plan and design approved by the scientific committee of ILab. I did the cells in the LRS chambers, and I eluted them from the LRS chambers, spun down, also did the MSU simulation. So I performed total RNA isolation using the RNeasy plus kits for RNA isolation from Qiagen. I also conducted the bulk RNA sequencing, as I mentioned before, by Novogen, and the RNA sequencing data analysis. I used FastQC and STAR. Also did DE analysis with TMM normalization. Also used cluster profiler package R for geo and pathway enrichment, and used CyberSort. Also made my graphs and visualization with ggplot, heat map, and enrichment packages in R. I also performed my single comparisons of RNA sequencing genes and ELISA proteins, and I presented them in bar graphs using a student t-test. As a brief summary, we found that asymptomatic hyperuricemia can cause pro-inflammatory response, increases in pro-inflammatory cell types, protein levels, and genes. Specifically, the M1 was upregulated and M2 was down. Immunosuppressive responses were also measured, and we found inhibitory checkpoint genes were upregulated in expression, and so were the protein levels, and also found increased risk for cancer and autoimmune disease development, especially referring to the IFNG increased levels. So this graph shows the altered gene expressions and pathways in the MSU-stimulated LRS cells. So we found that the impact in like plot A, you can see that we have the control group on the left and the MSU-induced group on the right. So the red shows an upregulation in genes, while the blue indicates a low expression. So those are some of the genes, as you can see, like the CXCL8 was upregulated in MSU groups, but downregulated in the control groups. Plot B is just also more genes, but for the opposite. And plot C is a volcano plot that shows the distribution of DEGs in MSU-stimulated cells and also the non-stimulated ones. So the colors are corresponding to blue for negative and red for MSU. Plot D is a network graph of DEGs and pathways in MSU-stimulated groups compared to its controls. Plot E is a dot plot that shows the significantly impacted pathways. So as you can see, there's chemotaxis, taxis, response to molecular bacterial origin. We also have leukocyte migration and cell chemotaxis. This graph shows the proportions of the LRS cells stimulated with or without the MSU. So we have cell types like B cells, plasma cells, T cells, and K cells. They were all down, they all decreased in proportions after being stimulated with the MSU compounds. However, cells like mast cells and eosinophils and neutrophils, they all increased in proportion after being stimulated by the MSU compound. This graph shows the MSU stimulation changed the LR cell type proportions towards inflammatory subtypes. The first graph is really similar to the table previously, and you can see color-coded wise like all the different cell types that were impacted after MSU stimulation. There was a significant increase in macrophages after MSU stimulation and a significant decrease in monocytes. Bar A shows the T cell proportions, and you can see a significant decrease in most of them, except for the follicular helper T cells. That one went increase in proportion after MSU stimulation. Bar C shows an increase in NK cells. D shows a decrease in monocyte production, and bar E shows an increase in macrophages, specifically M0 and M1. However, the M2 macrophage proportion went down after MSU stimulation. This table shows the proportions of the T cell subtypes specifically. So as I mentioned previously in this graph over here, plot B, you can see that all the other cell types went down except for the follicular helper T cells, which doubled in proportion. This graph shows the increased production of Th1 and Th2 cytokines by MSU-stimulated LRS cells. So specifically, graph A, we can see the increased transcriptomic levels of Th1, IFNG, following MSU stimulation. And that is associated with immunodeficiency 69 and hepatitis C. Graph B shows an increased level of protein level of IFN gamma in the supernatant collected. So that was measured with ELISA. And graph C shows the increased protein levels of Th2 cytokine IL-13 in the supernatant. And these were all calculated with P less than 0.001. This graph shows the proportion of macrophage subtypes. So as mentioned previously in that large graph size, the M0 and M1 cell types increased significantly after being stimulated with MSU, but the M2 subtype went down. This figure shows the elevated levels of monocyte and macrophage stimulating cytokines and chemokines for monocyte recruitment and macrophage differentiation after MSU stimulation. Graph A shows the gene expressions of CSF1, CSF2, and CSF3. And as you can see, after MSU stimulation, they have increased significantly in relative gene expression. Plot B shows the cytokine concentration, and we can see that it went a lot higher after MSU stimulation for the MCSF, GMCSF, and GCSF. Plot C also shows there's some differences here where there's a decrease in the CSF1R, but increases in CSF2RA and CSF2RB, and a decrease in CSF3R. Plot D shows the expression of CCL2. Plot E shows that CCL2 concentration, and F is the relative gene expression of the CCR and CCR4 genes. This graph shows the elevated levels of proinflammatory cytokines and chemokines after MSU stimulation. So in plot A, we can see there's increased gene expression in the cytokines TNFA, IL-1A, IL-1B, and IL-1C, after MSU stimulation. Plot B shows us the cytokine concentration has significantly increased as well for TNF-alpha, IL-1 beta, and IL-1/6 after MSU stimulation. Plot C shows the different genes for all the CCL groups, CXCL groups, and they've basically all increased significantly after MSU stimulation. Those were calculated with a p-value of less than 0.0001. And plot D shows the gene expressions of the CCR genes. This figure shows the changes in stimulatory and inhibitory checkpoint gene expression and elevated levels of inhibitory checkpoint markers after MSU stimulation. So plot A shows that the gene expressions for the CD27, CD2A, and all these genes have increased significantly after MSU stimulation. Plot B shows an increase in TNF-SF4 and TNF-SF9, but a decrease in CD40 LG. Plot C has just a little more of gene expressions for these genes, and they've mostly all went up except for a few. And D, we also see some other genes. And plot E is the checkpoint ligand concentration. So they have also significantly increased after MSU stimulation. In conclusion, we found that asymptomatic hyperuricemia can disrupt immune homeostasis and promotes proinflammatory and immunosuppressive responses in circulating immune cells, can also impair the immune cell's ability to respond to pathogens, and this can lead to things like developing inflammatory, autoimmune, and malignant conditions. So this implies that managing hyperuricemia by lowering the urate levels in the blood can be really crucial. This can help mitigate our hyperimmune reactions and immunosuppressive conditions. And this is important to maintain immune health even if we don't have any gout symptoms, since hyperuricemia is oftentimes asymptomatic. And therefore, we can conclude that perhaps we should be treating this and screening for it at an early stage. So in the future, I hope to explore the long-term effects of hyperuricemia on immune function and the potential benefits for intervention early on in asymptomatic individuals. I also hope to go for a larger sample, since these samples, the 3 that I used, were taken by 3 random patients. So there could have been factors that influenced data like age, gender, and the individual conditions of every single patient. And here are my references. Thank you so much.